Thank you, David. After the bye, and back to work for the Stampeders and the Lions as Calgary collides with BC at Empire Field in Vancouver. We had some rain earlier today on the West Coast, but the sky has cleared. And what a great night for football on the grounds of the PNE.
Casey Printers was asked all kinds of questions about whether or not this week he could be the savior like he did last year to get his team a playoff win. He said, and I quote, "Well done is better than well said." Henry Burris on a roll. 4 straight wins for the Calgary Stampeders versus the Lions. Completed 68% of his passes a few weeks ago in a 27-22 win.
Head John Hufnagel Stamps riding that 4-game win streak to the best record so far in the Canadian Football League, and the win streak includes a 27-22 win against Wally Bono's Lions, still looking for their first home win of the year, and despite 1-6, the veteran head coach says it's still salvageable for the Lions. Here we go. And the short kickoff taken by Joffrey Reynolds across the 35-yard line. Joe Henderson and J.R. LaRose there to meet him as the red-hot Henry Burris leads the Calgary Stampeders out on offense.
Henry Burris told us yesterday that he is more comfortable in this offense than any he's played in his professional career. He has Joffrey Reynolds, who is chasing Kelvin Anderson to become the all-time leading running back in Calgary history. Lots of talk about Demetrius Sumpas on the O-line, but maybe their best is Ben Archibald at left tackle.
10 of those Stampeders on offense have started all 8 regular season games. Burris goes to work and over the middle, guns a completion to Kenyon Rambo for an early Calgary first down.
Just a good football play right out of the gate to have Kenyon Rambo come across the middle. This is called a dig route because you're digging over the middle. And Henry Burris on perfect time, 1, 2, 3, looks off the safety tag. Crawford goes over the middle for a nice completion to get Kenyon Rambo involved early.
16 for Rambo on the pickup. He's now 4 short. 300 catches in his career. First down at the Stamp 47. And again, it's Rambo over the middle, and he is punished. Close to a first down. Solomon Elamimian in on the tackle. Our starting lineups are brought to you by Rona, proud sponsor of the CFL. Rona, doing it right.
Well, the newcomer in the front 7 for BC is someone that CFL fans are familiar with, and Jonathan Brown, Big JB from the Toronto Argonauts, signed in the bye week. And there's the secondary that needs Tad Crawford to make a play or two at the safety position.
9 more for Rambo. 2nd and 1, short yardage team in. Drew Tate with the quarterback sneak, and should have it as the Stamps have moved into Lions territory.
4 straight wins for the Calgary Stampeders after a loss on the road to Toronto in week 3. Henry Burris in that 4-game winning streak has been outstanding, and the completion percentage off the hook at 70.8. Maybe most importantly, his touchdown to interception ratio at 11-3. Because remember, in that Toronto game, the loss, he had 4 interceptions.
125th CFL start for Henry Burris, and the chains are being brought in, a measurement after the Drew Tate sneak. One of the emphasis points for John Hufnagel this week, as you see a Calgary first down, was to minimize 2 and outs. They had over 500 yards against Edmonton in the blowout win 2 weeks ago, but the head coach said there were still too many 2 and outs in that game. There were 7.
Couple of things that they did in the off seasons, or excuse me, in the bye, which was to self-scout, and that was one of them they mentioned. Also want to improve their cover teams on the special teams as well.
Cote lines up as a receiver to the far side, and a fake for Reynolds. The pass in the flat, they're ruling incomplete, intended for Nick Lewis.
Something that you'll see from this BC Lions defense quite often is Corey Banks coming on a blitz. He's a linebacker, but he'll be a guy who's been asked to cover quite often on Nick Lewis, who will be that 3rd receiver. But here for the BC Lions, he's right on the edge. He comes right off the blitz and will tackle Joffrey Reynolds in that zone replay. You'll see him come after the quarterback quite often.
2nd and 10 passing situation. Joe Henderson checks in on defense for the Lions. In these 2nd and long situations, here comes the rush underneath. Rambo the catch, but he'll be brought down short of the first down as Stanley Franks was tracking Kenyon Rambo.
Stack linebackers for BC, and what they're going to try and do is bring pressure here. Watch how they'll come in this defense to get some pressure on Henry Burris. They simply cannot let a hot quarterback in Henry Burris sit back there and be comfortable in the pocket. So Lions coming with some pressure, which will put that much more pressure on the secondary to cover those great receivers.
So the great rookie Rob Maver comes in as the Stampeders are going to try a long field goal. 48 would be the rookie's longest in the CFL. 45 is season best so far. And Maver puts it up, and it is short. The ball fumbled. That's a live football. And does Calgary get back on it? Giannis Davis misplays it. It's Calgary football. And who hustled downfield to come up with it? Looks like Randy Chevrier, the long snapper, able to get down first and pick up that loose football.
Randy Chevrier is the center, and he will not be blocked. So that's why he can be the first guy to cover. It looked to me like Giannis Davis had trouble with his ball because it was so close to the crossbar. He was trying to make the judgment as to whether or not it would hit the post. Was a little slow to react. It bounces off his thigh, and that's a live football.
So a big early turnover for the Calgary Stampeders. And the Stamps will have a first down inside the 10.
A big break for Calgary. See if they can capitalize down in the red zone. That center on the cover teams is often not blocked because he's not usually going to make a tackle downfield on a returner. Randy Chevrier with a big play for the Calgary Stampeders. Now Ken Burris capitalized.
Stamps lead the league in points off turnovers with 72. First and goal from the 9. Burris into the end zone, and that falls short with some heat on.
And when you get down in this area, Henry Burris knows one thing and understands that he will see pressure, and that pressure again coming from Corey Banks off the edge. He's going to line up as a linebacker. Joffrey Reynolds will pick him up. They'll also send Solomon Elamimian up the middle. So 2 linebackers on that blitz for BC. Often happens in this part of the field.
Big early test for this BC defense that ranks 3rd in points allowed despite the 1-6 record. 2nd and goal. Burris in trouble. Trying to get away. He'll run it in. Touchdown. A 9-yard scamper for a touchdown. Henry Burris hits paved dirt for the first time this season.
Well, this is what Henry Burris can do to you because the receivers on this play look to be well covered by the BC Lions. But when things break down or Henry Burris has not liked what he's seen, especially over this 4-game win streak, this is what he'll do. He'll take off and run. You've got everybody covered, running after their receiver down the field if you're the Lions. And Burris finds Pater.
Maver the point after, and the Stamps capitalize on the Giannis Davis fumble early on. From the roller coaster to the Empire Field, where the Lions have fallen behind by a touchdown early. And this man itches to atone for his mistake as Giannis Davis brings it back close to midfield. 27 on the return.
Jonathan Brown, I mentioned, is the newcomer in the front 7 for the BC Lions, former Toronto Argonaut. He's not played a snap all season. He lines up pretty close and inside on this blitz, and then just is one-on-one on Henry Burris on the outside, and this will get him back in game shape in a hurry if he's left in this type of matchup. You see Jonathan Brown there as Henry Burris bounces to the outside. If Brown keeps Burris inside, doesn't have to make the tackle, he's got a chance.
Fourth start of the year for Casey Printers, who's missed the last 4, wants to go deep early. Jump ball, and the Lions come up with it. Emmanuel Arsenault from Casey Printers, and that's the start the Lions were looking for.
Emmanuel Arsenault is pretty well covered, and it's bump and run coverage on the outside. But here's what happens. Casey Printers gives him a chance. There's the bump. Pretty good position there by Milt Collins. And the timing on the jump by Arsenault, perfect. 44 yards, longest play of the year for Arsenault, who had a 100-yard receiving game 3 weeks ago against Calgary. First down. And a handoff to Giannis Davis, still churning. Good second effort, and he'll take it down inside the 10. Expecting to see more of Giannis Davis as a running back tonight. Yes, we will. And take a look at that offense for the BC Lions. Casey Printers gets them huddled up. And of these skilled position players, I didn't highlight anybody tonight for the Lions because I'm wondering which one of those guys will step up. The newcomer at right tackle, Justin Sorensen, gets a start. First one of 2010.
Now both Davis and Robertson were in the backfield. Robertson releases. He's got it. And if he pushed out at the 1, it is a Lion first down.
You get the first down before or without scoring the touchdown. And this is a play designed to take advantage of blitz coming from Calgary and man-to-man, because when you get your running back out of the backfield like that, very tough for anyone to cover him in man-to-man. They have to run through the entire middle of that defensive line. So good read and throw. And they're on the doorstep.
Dwight Anderson saves a touchdown. A new look for the Lions. Then they get a player out on the field late and call a timeout to avoid a penalty. BC scored for the first time two weeks ago against Saskatchewan, a field goal on their opening possession. They have yet to register a touchdown on a first possession this season, trying to change that here.
And maybe more importantly, to answer the turnover and score by Calgary right out of the gate.
So it is first and goal. And the give inside to the goal line. No signal. And still no signal. Looks like it'll be second down.
To me, like Brandon Isaac, number 30, is going to come around the edge this way and cut the legs out. Well, Brandon Branner as well.
That was Jerome Messam, the rookie, the big fullback, 6'3", 245.
The fans here wanted to see if that was a play that should have been challenged down on the goal line.
Wally Bono looked like he almost challenged the Robertson catch placement, but the right call was made. It's second and goal, and this time it is no. They're gonna mark him short again. It's gonna be third down, and we've seen the Lions struggle in this department before the last couple of years.
And Jamal Robertson trips on the play. I'm not sure he gets any contact here at all. Jerome Messam is the fullback. Arsenault in motion, and watch, little stumble there. The hand is down. The only question I would have is, did he get touched and down by contact? Because if he didn't, he's allowed to continue to crawl forward.
Doesn't look like he ever reached out and got the ball to the goal line.
The ref right on the doorstep to make the call quickly, and it looked like Robertson went down on his own.
Umpire Ben Major on the scene. Here we go. Third down. Still trying to get that long yard. Printers. Does he get it? Yes. Ball came
scored, they also think he may have fumbled. So we may see a challenge. Second effort, because it didn't look like the first surge got him there. The official signals touchdown immediately, and you can see how much he believes in the call. Yep. He had a good view of it, and that angle along the goal line, it was tough to see through that pile of defensive and offensive linemen.
It was a definitive signal, but Steen is going to have to get some help. Or sorry, Glenn Johnson in charge tonight, and he will get in touch with the command center.
Well, this is a different look at it.
Calgary is challenging the rule for a touchdown. We'll review the play.
Blocked up there and reached out. You can see as he reached, that's the angle that the official had.
Well, the official is right on top of it.
You know what it looked like to me, Chris, is that when Casey Printers reached out with that football, and this may give you that exact angle we need, but when he reached out, then the ball was stripped, but the signal for touchdown went up immediately. That previous angle showed it. I'm not sure. I mean, it is close, and you can see the ball bouncing around now, but from that other angle, I thought he signaled touchdown before we saw the ball bounce around.
Really hard to get a good look either way. Maybe the one-hand reach is when Ben Major reacts, and that's when Tom Johnson knocks it out of his hand. But yeah, once it breaks the plane, the play is dead.
This is the angle. Now you're going to lose Printers in behind his O-line here. Now we can't see him now. Now watch the official. Watch the official on the play right there. We can't see where the ball is. Now he can. He's right on the pile, puts his hands up right there. Now I'm guessing, and then the ball bounces out. Now I'm guessing Printers reaches over that line, he signals it, and then the ball is stripped from him. But again, from those angles, it's going to be tough to overturn this.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It is a touchdown.
You know, a good challenge, because John Hufnagel is looking for that magic angle, and we've seen many short yardage plays, whether it be middle of the field on third down or down on the goal line on any down, and it's very tough. I don't know that I've seen one overturned.
That is one ferocious stand, though, by the Stamps. Lions 3 cracks at it and just broke the plane on the third try. Extra point is good. But Printers does get them even here in the first quarter. Interesting start to this game.
Team is matched up against Manning.
An answer from Casey Printers after an early mistake by the Lions and a touchdown by Calgary to open proceedings. Dion Murphy's got some room, and Jerome Messam cut him off. Big play by the rookie running back on special teams. We used to build this coaching matchup as the mentor versus the student. I think John Hufnagel's graduated from that. And with more, here's Sarah Orleski.
Chris, with the win tonight, the Calgary Stampeders would improve to 7-1, a mark that the organization hasn't been at since 1996, back when the man on the other side of the field, Wally Bono, was in the middle of his tenure there. I asked John Hufnagel whether he was happy with where the team is right now. Said obviously there's things that he'd like for them to improve on. Better tackling from their defense, not as many turnovers. But he said that all in all, he is satisfied with the direction that they're going, much like he was in 2008. He said if we had asked him at this point last year, he would not have been happy. But he was interested in seeing how this team would respond tonight, having had the break last week.
Yes, last year was 3-4 into the bye.
Well, one thing that's got to make John Hufnagel confident in his football team this year is what Henry Burris said yesterday to us, that he is more comfortable in this offense than he has been in any offense that he's been in as a pro, and that includes a Grey Cup year in 08.
When he tossed 39 touchdowns, he's got an open man here. Ryan Thelwell can't readjust to the football. And there's one of those 2-and-outs that John Hufnagel was trying to eliminate. Well,
he had the open receiver in Ryan Thelwell. just found the soft spot. Tad Crawford was way in the middle at the safety spot. They had the open receiver, but Henry Burris just not quite on the same page. Threw it inside shoulder. Thelwell was looking outside shoulder.
There's Giannis Davis back. Burt Dale's in to punt. Last week, the Stamps, or last game, gave up 197 yards on punt returns to Kelly Campbell. Davis tried to do some damage too. He does some nice dancing. And is finally brought down by Carl McCartney, who has been a terror on special teams for the Stamps. Find out how you can create your own plays at NissanArmchairHero.com.
Well, after the Calgary touchdown off the turnover, this was the bounce-back drive and play by the BC Lions. Manuel Arsenault goes one-on-one on Milt Collins. Now, at the end of this play, Collins makes a small mistake. It's very small, though. He doesn't maintain contact with his left hand on the receiver, and because of that, he sort of fades away from the football. That opens up a window, and that leads to a score.
Snap showed blitz. Printers rolls. Looks deep. He wants O'Neal Wilson. Tripped up. And flags fly as Keon Raymond lost a step on O'Neal Wilson and then brought him down.
Unintentional, but no question it was pass interference. And Keon Raymond comes out.
Pass interference. Calgary number 25. It's the first down at the point of the foul.
O'Neal Wilson right here. Keon Raymond comes out to cover him man-to-man at the bottom of your screen. Now, as he goes down the field, Keon Raymond's looking back to the football. Unintentional here, the contact, because he's trying to play the football, but he runs over the receiver, and there's no question pass interference.
BC Printers opening both series, going deep, and here's Davis dancing again. Down to the 25. We were told that Giannis Davis, who had a 51-yard touchdown run in Saskatchewan, would see the ball more, and that's been in evidence early.
Well, he was 3 for 84. That's a pretty good average when you're out of the running back and the tailback position. And when Wally Buono was asked about that yesterday, basically said it's a bit of a balancing act. I like the field position that Giannis Davis is providing, so we don't want to take away too much from that.
As 5, 2nd and 5. Here comes the blitz again. Printers looking to the goal line. Pass Jackson got bumped there. Incomplete. Brandon Browner. There is a flag back in the Lions backfield.
Well, first of all, Casey Printers avoids the blitz with a little bit of mobility. A lot of people wondering if he could get out and run. Well, he showed there he can. Now, the bump by Browner is what he's complaining about.
Holding. BC number 25. That penalty is declined. Third down.
Running back Robertson called.
It all wouldn't have mattered anyway. Either way, whether it was caught or intercepted by the Calgary Stampeders. And on this type of play, Jamal Robertson is in for protection purposes. He picks up the front side blitz by Malik Jackson. Casey Printers has to run away from Wes Lysak, which he does. But the holding there on Jamal Robertson.
So Paul McCallum comes in, and he'll attempt from 33 yards out. Has missed just one this season. And just fits that one in. 10 straight for the Lions, and they have the lead.
I think Wally Buono still discussing that bump by Browner in the end zone. And it didn't look like to me that there was all that much contact. I mean, here it is again one more time, and Brandon Browner is looking back to the ball. And what he does well is not to grab Paris Jackson. See that left hand? He drops the left hand off the shoulder of Paris Jackson, who's kind of leaping to the ball. So not enough contact for the flag there. But Keon Raymond's clearly was.
The Stamps started their 35 after the McCallum field goal. And there's Keon Raymond over the middle. Tad Crawford brings him to the turf at the 50. Kenyon Rambo with a 15-yard pickup.
You know, I'm not going to be surprised if the Calgary Stampeders here in this game tonight will attack the middle of the field, both intermediate routes over the middle. Kenyon Rambo is an inside receiver. He's got a couple of these now already. They're going to test out Tad Crawford. I know it's 7 games into the season for both these teams. They're going to go after Crawford a little bit.
Rambo with 4 catches already. First down up at the 51. Inside, John Cornish, who gets every 3rd offensive series for the Stampeders at the running back position, picks up 4.
Defensive secondary coach Baron Miles and a guy on his way to the Hall of Fame who's played a lot of safety in his time. As I talked to him about the development of Tad Crawford, he still has confidence in him and feels that he's got the potential. He says he's a real bright guy. In fact, he's almost too smart. He outthinks himself sometimes and should just go and play the game and have some fun and try and take some chances. And Tad Crawford's still being a little more cautious.
Oh, Rambo across the line, and it'll be an offside against the Stamps, and now it's going to be 2nd and long. But Tad Crawford's an architecture graduate, and he's calculating angles, and yes.
Offside. Calgary number 85. 5-yard penalty. Repeat, 2nd down.
Rambo not as far offside as we saw 2 weeks ago against Edmonton.
Only the 5 yards this time, but it'll be interesting to see how much more they try and get Kenyon Rambo over that middle. He's obviously upset with himself over that last offside.
Quarterback drop. And some room. Henry Burris has a first down. Dropped at the Lion 45-yard line. 15 for Burris.
John Cornish is going to get every second drive. He's right here on the right-hand side. It's going to be 2 series for Joffrey Reynolds. It's going to be 1 series for Cornish, and they will continue to rotate in that manner. Great blitz pickup by John Cornish, who comes across here to make the great blitz pickup and allow Henry Burris out of there, because he has to recognize Anton McKenzie from the backside.
2 big runs for Burris in this first half already. Now Cornish, the ball carrier, brought down by Dominique Pittman behind the line of scrimmage. Pittman, who says he's already picked up some pointers from the veteran Jonathan Brown.
They are going to try and attack this zone read play that the Calgary Stampeders like to run so much. And what I mean by that, they're going to attack. Now, Henry Burris, you can bet on the next time they try and run that, will pull the ball.
Loss of 3, 2nd and 13. 6 receivers out. Flag down. Burris going deep. He's got Dion Murphy. Touchdown. Well, let's find out what the flag's all about. And Calgary indicating it's going against BC.
Illegal contact on a receiver. BC number 26. That penalty's declined. Touchdown.
Dion Murphy with his 3rd touchdown catch of the year.
Well, pretty simple route here for Dion Murphy, and the throw is absolutely perfect because Henry Burris has to deal with Tad Crawford. So he has to hold Tad Crawford, the safety, just long enough to get that ball in there. What a throw by Burris. Here's the illegal contact penalty on Anthony Reddick, which didn't matter. Murphy in the end zone on a perfect throw.
Henry Burris ties Anthony Calvillo for the league lead in touchdown passes with his 17th. And the Stamps reclaim the lead.
Dion Murphy with a nice stem move. And what I mean by that is in and then up the field. Watch how he stems Stanley Frank's inside release, and then bam, right down the sideline right here, or down the hash marks right here. Now, the only guy that can help here now is Tad Crawford, the safety. Henry Burris holds Tad Crawford from getting there in time. Touchdown, Calgary Stampeders. That throw, absolutely on the money from Henry Burris.
Hey,
48-yard touchdown pass, and Burris over 2,000 yards passing on the season.
Next, Alex, if you're watching, holler at you. Chris, you holler at you too.
Let's take a look at how Henry Burris manufactures this right after this kickoff cover, how he holds Tad Crawford.
Maver boots it downfield, and we get Jerome Messam on the return. The rookie up to the 35 with a flag down.
Tad Crawford inches away from that play to Dion Murphy, who goes on that nice stem we showed you down the seam on the hash mark there. But Henry Burris is the key there, because Henry Burris holds him.
Legal block, BC number 51. It's a 10-yard penalty from where the foul occurred. First down.
That's Josh Jesse who gets the call.
Just keep in mind that on this play, you got a safety in Tad Crawford right out of your screen there. Now watch Burris here. You see how he's going to look in this direction. That's just a few split seconds right now as he goes back. See, a glance to his left, and then he rolls his shoulders around back to the right side.
Good first quarter, drawing to an end with pressure on Printers, and he'll go down back at the 10. Tom Johnson, Tay George there to bring down Casey Printers.
No chance for the quarterback on this play. Great pressure from the Calgary Stampeders. Great pressure from the Calgary Stampeders as they show a different look. They move around, bring Eric Fraser up. He occupies a block, and it is an absolute fast break for the Stamps on Casey Printers, who had no chance.
Yeah, 3 Stamps had a shot at him, starting with Malik Jackson. There's Tom Johnson, and it is a loss of 10, second and 20 on a roll, and that pass incomplete, intended for O'Neal Wilson. Final play, opening quarter, and it was a good one. 14-10, Calgary. First quarter numbers are brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL.
When you look at the advantage by time of possession for the Calgary Stampeders, that's something they've done all season long. But an interesting first quarter, because you have the mistake by BC cost them 7 points. A couple of key runs by Henry Burris, one on second down and long, and one down for the touchdown. So interesting, but jump in the step for both these teams.
Yeah, the bye apparently did well for both teams. A little rest, and now back to work.
Yeah, Casey Printers looked like he can move in the pocket. He got outside a couple of times, made some plays down the field, and Henry Burris using his legs to break down that defense when he doesn't like what he sees in coverage.
3 lead changes in the opening quarter. And Dion Murphy awaiting at midfield, and McCallum does kick it away. Double clutch that, and Murphy fumbled it, but there were Lions within that 5-yard restraining area. As they battle for the football, it won't matter. It'll be no yards against BC, although the official is saying it was a Lion who came up with it. There's Joe Henderson at the bottom of the pile. Almost looked like Paul McCallum was thinking about conceding a safety.
No yards. BC number 48. It's a 5-yard penalty. First down, Calgary.
So Henderson, who came up with the football, was called for no yards.
He did hesitate when he did. Paul McCallum let this one go, did kick it out of his own end zone. The ball bounces, touch there. 2 BC Lions inside the 5-yard zone. Now it's only a 5-yard penalty because it hit the ground.
So the Stampeders with the lead, and they start at the Lion 43. Burris back into the hands of Kenyon Rambo. That's his 300th career catch. And in 16 minutes, he already has 5 on the night.
It just works off a little rub here on the outside. Davis Sanchez and Stanley Franks trying to cover. You see Rambo just bends that to the sideline. Now the progression on that play is for him to go to the sideline like that and then turn it up deep down the sideline. So we'll see if Calgary goes to that as this game goes on.
1st and 10. Fake to Reynolds and into the flat. There's Nick Lewis with a catch, and Stanley Franks couldn't bring him down. A little tightrope for Lewis, and he'll be marked out at the 12.
Baby. Happy birthday, Grandma.
Boy, first of all, Henry Burris gets Nick Lewis' grandma's birthday. But first of all, Henry Burris is in the backfield one-on-one with Tad Crawford, who's going to come on the blitz from the left side of your screen here. He comes on this blitz, and watch how Burris just freezes him. He's got no chance, and then strong arms it to Nick Lewis, who gets hit hard by Stanley Franks. His yak yards just keep adding up in this season.
Over 300 now. He's #1 in that department in the league. Another first down. Here comes more pressure over the middle, and it's short. Intended for Ryan Thelwell. Lions bring the heat again.
Well, so far in this game, Henry Burris's mobility has been a difference maker. And on plays like this, mobile quarterbacks often like quarterback draw.
He has scored a touchdown on a 9-yard run. Extended another scoring drive with a 2nd and long conversion with a 15-yard run. See what Dave Dickinson calls here on 2nd and 10. From just outside the Lion 10. More pressure. And the pass is caught by Murphy, and they'll mark it short of the first down at the 4. Going to be a 1.5 yards short of the first down. Henry Burris said it's only a yard, coach, but the field goal team comes on, and you saw his reaction.
Pretty good catch out there, because there were a few Lions that felt that that one might have touched the ground. You have to survive that contact on the ground. Either way, field goal team for the Calgary Stampeders, because they would have kicked it from the line of scrimmage.
Almost 2 full yards, so Maver comes on. Little chip shot for Rob Maver. Franklin puts it down, and Maver puts it through, and the lead is now 7 for the Stamps. Early 2nd quarter, beautiful night, Empire Field in Vancouver. Giannis Davis is deep, taking it at his 16. Goes walking, and he'll be forced out at the 30-yard line. Keon Raymond, one of the Stamps downfield first.
Boy, this is a tough Calgary Stampeder defense that lead in almost every defensive category that the CFL keeps as statistics. And it's a defense that got a newcomer a few weeks back in Robert McCune up front in the front 7. 4 starts, 4 sacks. He's had 1 in every single game that he's started. And Dwight Anderson, a big game against the BC Lions a couple of weeks back here at Empire Field.
Play action fake. Printer's the keeper, and he is brought down quickly. There's Tom Johnson. What a force Johnson has been in recent weeks for the Stamps.
Well, he, throughout the season, he has led all interior defensive linemen in tackles, and this defense has been dominant. I mentioned all the most important categories in the league that they are first, and then when they're not first, they are second. It's 25 defensive categories, 22 of them they're first or second.
1 for Printers, 2nd and 9. Time to throw. First time he's called G. Roy Simon's number. It's incomplete, as Brandon Smith was in his hip pocket.
And what's Chris Jones is working with is interesting when you go back a couple of years. In Chris Jones' 08 season, was working with a lot of new faces, got that championship team, only 2 returning starters that year, got that team together on defense, and they go and win the Grey Cup. Last year started upwards of 6 rookies, and this year new faces, and he brings them together in a hurry.
McCallum's boot fielded by Murphy at his 35, and he breaks through. Good return for Dion Murphy. 11 yards on the return to the 46. Well, if you're a Lion fan in the 70s, you love Jerry Taggy and Leon Bright. And they're standing by with Sarah Orleski.
Well, and they still love them here, Chris. I've been watching the two of them converse with fans while they've been down here on the sidelines with me, Leon Bright and Jerry Taggy. Jerry, you said this is the first time that you've been back to Vancouver in 30 years.
30 years, yeah, and I've been reminded of our start in 1977 and the Cardiac Kids we were labeled, and guys like Leon Bright, who was a game changer when I played, and when he came in, he turned the program around.
Well, and Leon, you were a part of the BC Lions 50th anniversary dream team. We've heard some Lions this week talk about what it means to be a Lion and that some of the young guys don't understand. What does it mean as someone that used to play for this Lions organization? What does it mean to be a Lion?
Oh, being a Lion, you know, there's no other team but the Lions, as far as I'm concerned. But, you know, being a Lion, you know, the enthusiasm and fans that you have around you and the town, you know, you can't beat the atmosphere that you have here at being a Lion here. It's great being back here for this game against Calgary. You know, I'm just thrilled to be back home again.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to join us, and enjoy the rest of your time here.
Lion fans cheered those two, and they're cheering Stanley Franks, who got burned deep 3 weeks ago by Henry Burris, but comes up with his second interception of the season.
Yeah, I believe Kenyon Rambo was the target, and Kenyon Rambo on Franks one-on-one, and Stanley Franks going to play off. That's like playing with cushion, and nothing fancy about the route. He's in good position, but watch as he checks the football, fades into the receiver, and then catches it at his high point. Big play for the BC Lions.
10th interception thrown by Burris, who had only been tagged for one in the last 3 weeks. Printers now. And there's a first down toss to Emmanuel Arsenault.
Stanley Franks has been challenged early in this season as the newcomer to the secondary, and plays that ball absolutely perfectly. And there's Barron Miles, who has a few interceptions in his resume. Over their first guy to congratulate him.
Just the 7th interception of the year for the Lions. And in fact, we're told that interceptions are at their lowest rate in CFL history right now. But a big one there for BC. In and out of the hands of G. Roy Simon.
You know, I just getting a look at Jerry Taggy and Leon Bright there on the sidelines. Sarah talking to them. Boy, I just get, as a kid who grew up in Prince George when I was younger, and then back here in the Lower Mainland, and watching those guys play in the Cardiac Kids year.
Tell me about the Cardiac Kids. Why were they?
Well, they were 10-6 that season in '77, and I want to say 8 of those games they came from behind in dramatic fashion.
2nd and 10. BC. Printers rolling, flag down. This one likely holding. Jump ball, and Dwight Anderson knocks it away from the intended target, Darius Passmore.
The penalty is here. It's deep in the backfield.
Jawan Simpson with some words for Casey Printers.
Procedure, BC, no end. That penalty's declined. 3rd down.
Formation issue for the Lions is the last couple of series, though. Casey Printers been on the run from that Calgary defense and the tremendous pressure that he's faced.
And the 5th different offensive line group this season. So Murphy awaits. And steps up to his 51. Flag down. That's going to be a 15-yard. No yards penalty as Murphy brings it across midfield. 36-yard punt by McCallum.
Joffrey Reynolds' turn with the offense.
Reddick charged with the 15-yard, no yards penalty, so it's first down Calgary at the 45, and a short gain there for Joffrey Reynolds is Solomon Elamimian.
I mentioned the rotation that Reynolds goes through with John Cornish. That takes the ball away from him a little bit, because important for Joffrey Reynolds for a couple of reasons, and this is a big one, that Joffrey Reynolds can this year, likely not this game, might take one more, but Joffrey Reynolds catching Kelvin Anderson to become the all-time leader in Calgary Stampeder history.
Now needs 210 yards to pass the great Kelvin Anderson, who also played here in BC. Second and long, and there goes Burris again, and he'll get another first down. So 3 runs, and they've been productive for 2 first downs and a touchdown for Henry Burris on the night.
Well, 2 things are going to happen as this continues to develop. One is the BC Lion defensive line is going to have to slow down their pass rush, which will give Burris more time, because they're allowing Burris out, whether it be outside or up the middle. He's made 3 or 4 big plays, game-changing plays with his legs.
Only ran the ball 3 times in the past 2 games, but he's 3 for 34 in the night. First down. Here comes the heat. Burris stands in and overthrows the intended target, his favorite target tonight, Kenyon Rambo.
So there's 2 ways that if your quarterback that you're playing against defensively continues to run and beat you running the football, then your choices are a couple things. One, you can slow down your pass rush with the D-line and let them check Burris, but then you don't get as much pressure. Puts more pressure on your secondary. The other way you can do it is spy it. Bring a linebacker in there, and just one guy just stays with them, whether it be Anton McKenzie or Solomon Elamimian. But Mike Benavides is going to have to try and control, defensive coordinator to your left, the running of Burris.
Second and 10. Burris stands in. He's got R.J. Franklin in the flat, and R.J. Franklin with yards after the catch to get a first down.
Burris had lots of time to throw, and I'm just wondering if the rush slowed down. You can see Jonathan Brown, more controlled rush from the interior of the defensive line. Burris has a nice pocket to get it out to R.J. Franklin. Took some big hits against Edmonton, and a big play there to break some tackles.
Did he ever? Second effort to get a first down. At the BC 21, they give it to 21. And he gets stacked up and pushed back.
I'm talking big hits. I mean, R.J. Franklin makes a big play here in this game, but against the Edmonton Eskimos, as big a hits as I've seen this season. One down the goal line by Mo Lloyd. That's a touchdown, by the way, for the Calgary Stampeders. And Rod Davis, I mean, he gets up and, yeah, good, got the ball.
A couple of old school catches by R.J. Franklin. Another second and long. Second and 9. Here they come. Off the edge. Burris steps up. Open. Rambo. Touchdown. Henry Burris on fire.
And he's on fire by buying time. He's on fire by moving around and stepping up and taking off when he has to. Henry Burris tonight is beating the BC Lions with his legs. Watch again. Full-on blitz for the BC Lions. One-on-one coverage down the field. Kenyon Rambo opens up there, but Burris escapes the pressure.
How about his awareness, knowing where the line of scrimmage was? And he was right there. In fact, the officials are still discussing it. There's a challenge from Wally Bono, and it is very close.
Good eye, partner. I wasn't looking at the line, but that is right on the 20-yard line there. So let's see where he delivers this football.
BC is challenging that the quarterback threw the ball from across the line of scrimmage. We'll review the play.
Hasn't thrown it yet. Was very close.
Ball was spotted about the 20 and a half. And looked like he was going to run for at least the first down, but then he spotted Rambo open.
Well, he's in the air. Looks like he's over that 20-yard line. But where does the ball release? Because if the ball's released behind it, he's okay. Because you're going to see his feet come down over the line.
After review, the quarterback threw the ball from behind the line of scrimmage. Ruling on the field stands. It's a touchdown.
It's a leading 18th touchdown pass for Henry Burris.
You know, I understand the challenge from Wally Buono, because Henry Burris will leave his feet as he's going to throw here. And then when he comes down, his follow through is over, and so is his left foot. And that's why the challenge flag comes out. But the ball, it looks to me, is behind that 20 as it releases from his hand, and that would make it a legal throw.
6 plays, 45 yards.
Oh boy, let's get it together.
Kenyon Rambo has been a busy guy in this first half. Maver puts the extra point through. It's a 2-touchdown lead for the 6-1 Stampeders.
You know, but it doesn't take anything away from the way that it happened, and that was Henry Burris and his ability to escape pressure, because when you send that many people at the quarterback, and he escapes, it's over. Henry Burris could have run in, or at least run for a first down, or throw it.
As you mentioned earlier, he says he's never more comfortable in an offense than this one right now, and he's had ample evidence of that here in the opening half. So 5:11 remaining here in the first half. And the Lions, who led 10-7, suddenly need a response. Maver sends it deep. Davis up near midfield and taken down at the Lion bench.
And some of the Lions felt that he was taken down out of bounds. It's like Robert McCune, number 46, and let's just see. I don't think McCune knew that he was out of bounds, because they were twisting and turning going to the turf. But what acceleration by Giannis Davis. There's 46, got him out of bounds there, and then continues to twist him on the sideline. And Giannis Davis was upset with it, but I'm not sure Robert McCune had any clue where he was at that point. They were twisting and going down together.
Davis with the return to midfield, and now with a burst into Calgary territory to the Stamp 49 as we join Sarah Orlesky.
Chris, G. Simon told me that this 1-6 record has him so depressed he doesn't even look at the team stats anymore. He finds it too depressing. He is the only receiver so far this season to have caught a pass, and that was, or to catch a touchdown. That was back in week 2. He was expecting it to be a different story tonight, and while there's a lot of time left in the game, it's been quiet so far. He said that Casey Printers had come to him before the game and said, "Be ready, we're coming to you." He really got the impression that the game plan was going to be to ride his shoulders. He is currently on pace, G. Simon, for his lowest receiving yards since 2002.
There's Casey Printers with a run for a first down. G. Simon has not had a 20-yard plus play in 5 games.
Yeah, and Sarah mentioned his last 4, 134 yards. He hasn't had over 50 yards in the last 4, and that's for the #1 receiver and a perennial 1,000-yard receiver. The BC Lions simply have to find a way to get that guy the ball.
And only one time this year he caught a pass over 25 yards. That's the 98-yarder in garbage time against Saskatchewan. Still no catches tonight. Davis had trouble with that exchange and somehow got it back. A flag down on the far side.
Giannis Davis just has some kind of burst and acceleration when he gets the football, whether it be on returns or out of the offensive sets.
There's no infraction on the play. Number 66 reported. Second down.
I mentioned Wally Buono's decision, or his issue with Giannis Davis as far as how much do you take him off the special teams and play him on offense if you don't have a returner to replace him. And that's the balancing act he's going through now, but they want to see more of him. And why not?
They just want to make sure he secures the football. That one looked like it might have been up for grabs. Second and 10. Critter stands in and pass interference intended for G-Roy Simon. This time he got hooked down. And I believe it was Brandon Smith. Or was it Juwan Simpson?
What's your last name? Blanket?
It will be a Lion first down. They give the 3-minute warning here to the benches at Empire. 256 seconds remaining, and then it's live at the half where Dave, Matt, Schultze, and Milt will discuss what they've seen in the first half, and I think the #1 topic may be #1. Henry Burris, very impressive opening half.
Well, his mobility has just beat this BC Lion defense.
So the penalty was on Juwan Simpson. Pass interference gives the Lions a first down. Pitters dances around and throws it out of bounds.
You know, just heard Sarah talk about G-Roy Simon and how important it is to try and get the ball to him. Well, Casey Printers gets the pass interference call on that last play where Simon has to beat the double team. Brandon Smith on the outside corner. They drop back Juwan Simpson. Now, there's clearly interference here. The ball is... This hand has made contact by Juwan Simpson just before the ball arrives, so that's no question pass interference, but that's G-Roy Simon route running against the double team, and when you're that good of a receiver, you'll see a lot of that kind of attention.
Second and 10 from the 33. Critters guns that, and Arsenault can't bring it down. Milt Collins in coverage, and the field goal team has to come on for the Lions.
I know the questions here in Vancouver with Casey Printers is how healthy is he? And I haven't really seen any ill effects so far of the knee. During the week, he had mentioned publicly that he wasn't quite sure how it was going to hold out. He has shown a little mobility here tonight, but that was a big miss, and he knows it.
It'll be a 40-yard attempt for Paul McCallum. And he splits the uprights. And it's an 11-point lead. Well, we've talked about G-Roy Simon, the veteran of this Lions team. A revamped team with a lot of young players who haven't learned the Lions' winning ways.
I think that we have young players here that don't know how to win and haven't been with the BC Lions long enough to understand that we don't work that way here. You know, guys got to understand that, you know, we've been a winning franchise for a number of years now, and we need to turn this thing around and get this going back in the direction that we've built it in.
Well, it's, you know, when you talk about what Wally Buono has done as the head coach of the BC Lions and their playoff appearances and Grey Cup appearances under his leadership, everyone frustrated and trying to figure out what the answer will be to get this team to climb out of the hole that they are in. Now Wally Buono did tell us yesterday in a meeting that he thinks the locker room is solid, that these guys are together, not pointing fingers at each other, and he feels that should give them confidence. It certainly does him that they will be able to come back.
One win in their last 10 regular season starts. Dion Murphy gathering speed again across the 35. James Urachuk there on the tackle.
Well, you talked about what the panel's going to go over at halftime, and I agree. I think the difference in this game has been when that defense for the Lions has had to. They've done a pretty good job of covering down. What they haven't done is been able to stop Henry Burris from getting out of the pocket. He has 165 yards passing, but the Kenyon Rambo touchdown only because he escaped. He also ran from one on the turnover from Giannis Davis. His mobility has really hurt the Lions.
Got Cornish in the game, and the pass over the head to the other running back, Rob Cote, coming out of the backfield.
Just as I sing his praises, he misses Rob Cote on a pretty easy throw and catch, and he knows it. You know what he did there? He aimed the football.
Working in concert with former Lion quarterback Dave Dickinson, who actually got the game ball after the win here in BC 3 weeks ago. Formidable combination. Second and 10, 6 receivers. Burris over the middle, and the receiver fell, and it falls incomplete. The intended target was Dion Murphy. A 2 and out. The Lions will get the ball back with just under 2 minutes to go.
Yesterday, Dave Dickinson did a local radio interview and mentioned in jest that Wally Buono had said during the week that he was very disappointed that Dave Dickinson didn't sign with his football team and felt betrayed. Of course, Wally Buono was kidding the entire time, just trying to stir things up. So before the game started, Dickinson walked over. They gave each other a big hug. He said, "You were betrayed." What? He said, "I was just bugging you. I'm just kidding around."
I like Dickinson's quote. He said, "We're here to shovel a little more dirt on the Lions." Here comes Davis. And he is elusive, but tracked down there by Juwan Simpson.
Exactly what we talked about.
Of course, Dave Dickinson, MVP in 2000 as a member of the BC Lions at quarterback. A team that in the last just shy of 50 games has gone through 24 quarterback changes in that time. And Buck Pierce going through, and now Winnipeg Blue Bomber Dave Dickinson. Sometimes it's been unlucky. They've gone through 3 in 2010, starting with Printers, going to Lule, and then Jarius Jackson.
BC Printers trying to get BC a little closer, and there's the first catch of the night for G. Roy Simon, who's been working against Brandon Smith.
Let me straighten up that Dave Dickinson statistic I threw out there. He was a 2000 MVP with Calgary, 2006 Grey Cup MVP with the BC Lions. There we go. You know, when you got all the MVP trophies on your trophy shelf, it's hard to keep them straight.
Had a little visit with some former teammates, Casey Printers, Jarius Jackson, prior to the game. Hot pass, Arsenault's got some room to run, and then drop the ball, and Calgary's on it. Did Arsenault get it back? Coughed it up. Calgary's got it. Emmanuel Arsenault puts it on the carpet after it looked like he had a big BC gain.
Yeah, and this is a caused fumble, and I'm not sure the Calgary tackler, but he tackles the football with his arm, comes across. Was it Tom Johnson?
Johnson vacuumed it up.
He picks up the fumble. Who makes the hit right there? It's Dwight Anderson, who actually just strips the football of Emmanuel Arsenault, because the throw, the read on the blitz, and the pickup was absolutely perfect for the Lions, and then Arsenault puts it on the ground.
Chris Jones said they used day 2 of their weekend preparations, practicing tackling the football, creating those turnovers, and then it's turned back over. As Stanley Franks has his second of the game, taking that away from Kenyon Rambo.
Well, this is a play that Henry Burris has tried to get on Stanley Franks twice. And both times Franks has played it almost identical. The halfback to the wide side of the field. One-on-one on Kenyon Rambo, who's going to try and run that corner route. Again, he gets underneath him and then times his jump and catches the ball at the high point. Deja vu all over again for Stanley Franks.
And a reprieve for the Lions offense. Still with 92 seconds to work with. Printers trouble with the shotgun snap, and it's all unraveling here on 3 strange plays in a row.
Calgary Stampeders are on that Emmanuel Arsenault fumble. Chris, the Calgary Stampeders didn't even cover. They are just right now, they're just sending pressure. Now Lysak's going to come up there and he's going to bail, but you can see it ends up being 5. Casey Printers juggles it. That's why the pressure gets there from the backside. The BC Lions are trying to roll away from that. Lost the handle. That ended that idea.
Second sack of this first half for the Stampeders. Tied for the league lead now with 21. It's 2nd and 18. More pressure. Malik Jackson got to Printers. It's ruled incomplete as Printers just got the arm moving forward in the nick of time.
Well, and the BC Lions right now offensively are, you're right, Chris, coming unraveled. I mean, the Calgary Stampeders aren't doing a whole lot of fancy, but they break the huddle here. Watch Printers call the play. They break the huddle. They're trying to get to the line. They're not sure of the play. Passmore goes out. He doesn't sure he's had it. To the right of Printers, they're completely scrambling the receivers. And then the jailbreak is on.
Ball McCallum goes down, but there will be no flag. Murphy picks it up. And good cover downfield. There is a marker at the end of the play while McCallum really is upset with Glenn Johnson for not contacting the kicker.
Well, let's take a look. I mean, if McCallum's leg is still in the air.
That's Jabari Arthur.
Legal block. Calgary number 28. A 10-yard penalty from where they got the ball. First down.
At the other end, it is a Calgary penalty to Brandon Smith. And it Stamps ball at the Calgary 30. So 62 yards, the net on the punt and penalty.
My head's down.
Up and throwing, and that was intercepted. Dante Marsh has it. And suddenly, the #1 topic of Live at the Half might be for a different reason.
Dante Marsh jumps it. He just leaves his man, and he jumps the route. He just decides that he's going to make a play and take a chance, and it pays off for Dante Marsh. He's right on the 40-yard line. And he's going to leave his outside receiver and jump the inside guy in Kenyon Rambo. Kenyon Rambo's trying to ride the out, and his receiver is free down the sideline, but the ball had already been thrown. He took a chance, and the gamble paid off.
Heck of a catch, his first interception of the year. The All-Canadian corner from 2008. Printers on the run again. Deep into the corner. G-Roy Simon's got it at the 1. This wacky final 3 minutes continues.
Has it ever been? G-Roy Simon keeps his feet in bounds, and the important part of this catch is his awareness, where he has that football and those toes just inside, and he only needs one. He got both.
Just went over 13,000 yards receiving with that catch, a 26-yarder to the 1. Let's see if it takes 3 cracks. Needed 3 from the 1 in the first quarter. Handoff, Robertson, touchdown.
What just happened?
Wow. And the Lions get back in it.
You know, it really is what Canadian football in a lot of ways is all about. A lot can happen in a short amount of time. We've seen a couple of interceptions. We've seen a touchdown. We've seen a big catch by G-Roy Simon. all around the 2-minute mark before the half. And this time, no stumble from Jamal Robertson. He's contacted, fights through the tackle of Keon Raymond, and gets them.
7th touchdown of the year for Robertson. 6 on the ground. McCallum puts it through. 4-point Stampeder lead. We've still got 28 seconds to go here in the first half.
You don't get your beverage yet.
I put the camera on me. Put no line. Put no line. Fellas, good work, baby. Good work.
Well, 7 points after the interception by Burris.
Well, Dante Marsh just decides to gamble. I mean, his receiver is wide open for a touchdown, and Burris holds the ball for a split second more. But Dante Marsh read it. He pattern read it. Now, Casey Printer's on the roll, showing his athletic ability. And then here is the presence of mind of the veteran Sarah talked about in G. Simon. Said, give him a chance, and he'll make the play, which leads to Jamal Robertson.
Well, that Stamps defense has been so stingy after Calgary turnovers this year. Coming into the game, after 18 giveaways by the Calgary offense, the defense had allowed only 13 points. But there's a big touchdown after a Burris interception that gets the Lions back in the football game. Deion Murphy trying to give Burris in the offense field position for one last gasp here in the first half. And we'll get a chance to remind you the CFL on TSN continues tomorrow night. It's the Rough Riders into Edmonton to take on the Eskimos. Live coverage from Commonwealth begins at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, and we're told they're just under 50,000.
Well, it'll be a battle on the field, and another struggling team in Edmonton. See if they can come out with a little jump.
No, the Eskimos aren't struggling. They're starting an 11-game season.
That's right.
Tomorrow.
That's head coach Richie Hall's theory.
J.D. Ray will play after the big hit by Devon Claybrooks a couple of weeks ago. Joffrey Reynolds straight ahead. Full gallop now up to midfield. And a penalty at the end of it. So with a baker's dozen on the clock, Joffrey Reynolds on his own has virtually got Calgary to field goal range.
Well, nice move by Joffrey Reynolds to bounce the outside guy, which was Davis Sanchez, the corner. Sanchez is going to end up being
major foul, unnecessary roughness, horse collar tackle, BC number 3, 15 yards from the end of the play. First down.
Safety Tad Crawford.
Watch this play now. Here comes Joffrey Reynolds. Now, Davis Sanchez has got to stay outside. If he stays outside, then he gets help from his friends. And then it looked like it might have been Stanley Franks who actually...
Yeah, they're both in the neighborhood, but clearly it is 6.
Yeah.
And with the 15 yards, it's a 34-yard play. Down to the 40, and some early movement.
I'm going to need to go back through the halftime stats to see just what happened in the last 2.5 minutes of this game. I think we've seen 2 or 3 interceptions.
2 interceptions, a fumble.
Calgary called timeout.
Okay, Calgary calls timeout.
2 interceptions, a fumble, a long pass to G. Simon, a touchdown by Jamal Robertson. A play and a nice run by Joffrey Reynolds to bounce containment on Davis Sanchez here. And all of a sudden, the Calgary Stampeders with 12 seconds left, time for possibly 2 plays, can take a shot down the field or are in field goal range.
So there was been 3 interceptions for Henry Burris in this first half. Did he get too greedy after, well, or late in this half?
The Dante Marsh play is Dante Marsh. Okay, that's a play that you can't anticipate as a quarterback. The interception by Stanley Franks on the corner route by Keon Raymond, yeah, I would say that's Burris being a little greedy at that point in the game.
His last 2 passes have been intercepted. It's 1st and 10 at the 40. Into the hands of John Cornish, kicking it outside. And taken down by Marsh near a first down at the 30. So they're clearly in Rob Maver range with 7 seconds on the clock. And the field goal unit comes on.
And how many times have we been watching a football game and thought, okay, a couple minutes left in the half, I'm going to go and refresh my beverages and open a bag of chips, make a sandwich. Can't do that in the Canadian Football League.
A measurement here. Don't think it matters to the Stamps. They've got Rob Maver and company out already.
Yeah, you take the points here. This should be routine for Rob Maver.
Second down.
When Johnson's crew giving John Hufnagel a little more time to debate whether he would like to squeeze one more play in, but doesn't look like he's going to change his mind.
Now, if you're a coach in a situation like this, Coach Cuthbert, is this a time to run a fake?
I'd take the points and a touchdown lead.
Conventional thinking on the road. That would be the wise choice, but the element of surprise would certainly be here now.
The only problem with that is if you're going to surprise him, it's got to get to the end zone. Because you only have time for one play. Box at 0. This is Maver surveys a 37-yarder. Again, the rookie doesn't flinch. Rod Maver nails that one, quiets this Empire crowd, and gives the Stamps a 7-point lead at the half.
Well, you know what? I think he handled the pressure and the challenge. He made some plays, and he showed, why we have a lot of confidence in him. So it's going to be a great second half, and if he can do what he did in the first half, we'll be in good shape.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll get his hands on the football first here, barring a turnover on the opening kickoff of this second half. 1-6 BC, 6-1 Calgary. Maver boots it in the direction of Giannis Davis. Another good return up across the 40.
Casey Printers, I thought, managed that first half quite well. He showed that he is mobile, that the knee is not bothering him too bad. The numbers don't jump off the page, but he had a couple of opportunities to make plays downfield and did. And a couple of times it was the Calgary pass rush that was on top of him in a hurry, as Matt Dunnigan talked about at halftime. A couple of fast breaks by the Calgary Stampeders.
Short drop, long throw, too far for Darius Passmore.
The other thing that they are doing, the BC Lions started this a couple of times in the first half, is to try and challenge those corners. I mean, Dwight Anderson in this play is easily going to play off and play with cushion. Passmore does have him on an inside move. Remember, he replaced Derek Armstrong because they wanted more speed.
Lions went deep on their opening play of the first 2 possessions in the football game and open the second half the same way. Now look at 2nd and 10. Lysak safety blitz, pass over the middle, incomplete. The 2-and-out again. Passmore against Dwight Anderson.
Blitz well picked up here this time by the BC Lions because, again, pressure coming from Calgary. They sent Wes Lysak. That left Dwight Anderson in that one-on-one again with Darius Passmore. Lysak's going to come down here. He gets picked up nicely. I believe it's Jamal Robertson that will take him. One-on-one in behind there.
Harris Jackson staying in the block. And Dion Murphy has a couple of side steps and can't find a seam. Brought down right at the 25. And again, James Juracek downfield in a hurry.
Burris got off to such a good start, was breaking down the defense with his legs, and then that happened. 3 interceptions. interceptions. And you heard John Hufnagel talk about it, Chris, saying we got sloppy with football.
Outstanding 27 minutes for Burris, and then a back-to-back interceptions. Remember, the only loss of the year by Calgary was in Toronto, a game he threw 4 interceptions, 3 in the first half tonight, but still enjoying a 7-point lead. And first time tonight, Robbie Bryant the target, and he was cut down by Davis Sanchez. It's incomplete. And Bryant not getting up.
Robbie Bryant has to go up to get this. Sanchez attacks that left leg.
Big hit by Sanchez. And Robbie Bryant stays down and will get attention. And will step out here early third quarter.
Robbie Bryant is still down. This is a legal hit. The defensive backs can come up and hit low. Now, a few weeks back, Calgary was coming here to BC. Nick Lewis talked about the Lions secondary tackling low. Now, Davis Sanchez, this is a classy move by Sanchez. He saw that Robbie Bryant was down and injured, and his teammates wanted to go and celebrate with him after the tackle. When he saw Bryant down, he said, no, guys, there's a guy hurt. Let's just keep it cool. Pretty classy move by Davis Sanchez.
Good to see Bryant getting to the bench under his own powers, getting thin at that receiver spot. Jabari Arthur checks in. Ryan Thelwell is also out of the game, it would appear. 4-man rush, 2nd and 10, and that pass incomplete. And Stanley Franks was all over the intended target, R.J. Franklin, but a late flag in the backfield.
Yeah, Brent Johnson came around the corner on Henry Burris, and that flag came after both those players were down on the ground.
Major foul, roughing the passer. BC number 97. 15 yards, first down.
Two-time top Canadian in the league, Brent Johnson. Wally Buono wants another look, but that's a costly penalty that will extend the Calgary possession.
He's just to the left of your screen. Brent Johnson will show up in just a second, and just as Henry Burris, here he comes. Just as Henry Burris steps up to throw, Johnson tackles him to the ground. Now, I think the official thought he jammed his head into the ground.
Corey Banks off the edge, but Joffrey Reynolds has a first down burst up across the Calgary 50-yard line.
Let's go back to the Brent Johnson hit and just take a look at that again. You know, you can understand the official's judgment here when Burris right there ducks. And the flag was thrown just behind him, meaning it looked probably from his angle that he jammed his head into the ground. I don't think Brent Johnson meant to do anything but tackle him by the looks of that play. Well, you got to call it if you believe he jammed his head down.
11-yard pickup for Reynolds after the 15-yard penalty, and more flags as Burris takes off and takes a hit. And flags again back in the Stampeder backfield.
Holding, Calgary number 60. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
That's the left guard, Dan Comiskey. That brings it back to the Stamp 42. And it'll be 1st and 20.
Big number 60, Dan Comiskey's got to pick up a stunt here from the BC Lions. He's going to start on one man and then slide to the next. There's a start on Steve Williams. Now he picks up on the inside. The holding is right there on Dominique Pittman.
Comiskey, 38 years of age. Coming out of retirement to join the Stamps this year. Will pump, and they'll screen it the other way for Reynolds, and he tripped up, and he's just short of the Calgary 50-yard line, so about 8 for Joffrey Reynolds on the screen.
Well, I like the call. I mean, Dave Dickinson calls a nice play here. And if Joffrey Reynolds doesn't stumble, you're looking at least 5, 6, maybe more, right behind the goalpost. I love the play because I think it's a underutilized play this screen. He slips out into the open. Now he's got some big old linemen out in front of him, including Demetrius Suplas. If he doesn't fall, he's got a chance for a bigger one.
Marked it at the 48 zone. Need of 6, second and 14. And a similar play, Reynolds. Great tackle, Anton McKenzie, the middle linebacker.
Message heard, and Anton McKenzie executed what Wally Buono told Sarah at halftime that he talked about in that locker room, was that the defense had to tackle better, because when you're facing an offense in 2nd and long, you want them to throw it underneath, rally to the football, and make the tackle, make the punt. And Anton McKenzie says, I heard the coach, and I went and executed.
Yeah, I got to pick up my boat with him. Yeah.
Burke Dales kicks it downfield, and here's Giannis Davis at his 10. And he is brought down at the 17-yard line. Jawan Simpson downfield in a hurry again. Our sack tally is brought to you by Purolator, tackling hunger across Canada. Check.
And the race is on. Calgary with 2 in the first half of this football game. Tied up, Montreal and Hamilton, of course, played the first week of the bye weeks.
Lions 3 off the pace, the perennial leaders in this category. Long field for Casey Printers. Big to Robertson, and in the flat, the catch made. Paris Jackson, first grab of the night. Milton Collins there. Jackson, slow start this year, 13 catches in the last 2 games for BC. Looked like he was warming up, but quiet evening so far.
Well, and that's important when you consider his first 5 games. He had 11 for 142, so more catches in his last 2 than his first 5.
Now they go no huddle. On 2nd and 6. Printers rolls. Anybody home? Jump ball, and knocked down by Collins in a battle with Emmanuel Arsenault. And Printers fortunate he wasn't picked off, but looks like we've got a roughing the passer penalty against Calgary.
Yeah, and it was a late flag again as Printers rolled to his right and really broke that cardinal rule about throwing back against the flow. Emmanuel Arsenault played DB there to knock the ball down for Milt Collins, but there was a flag after the hit on Printers.
Johnson is not on the field, the referee, so Ben Major's taken over. Doesn't have a mic, but it's a 15-yard penalty against the Stamp defense. There's Davis. Cuts it inside to the 40-yard line. Let's take a look at what happened to Printers that led to the 15-yard penalty.
Casey Printer is fortunate here because that could have been intercepted by Milton Collins. And he also is fortunate that he gets the late hit. Tom Johnson, there's Malik Jackson. And Malik Jackson with the forearm after the ball thrown, and that's going to be called every time.
2nd down. Low pass. Paris Jackson can't dig it off the turf.
You know, that'll
be 3rd down.
That looks like a routine play where Paris Jackson's going to run that quick out, but because of the pressure, I think it was Tom Johnson again. In the face of Casey Printers, it rushed the throw by a split second. That split second, the difference of a low throw there to Paris Jackson or one that he catches for a 1st down.
And that split second might be the difference continually this season for the BC Lions. Oh, we lost Glenn Johnson for a few plays, but he is back on the field. And here's Dion Murphy. And Murphy upended Jerome Messam with another special teams tackle. Well, tonight, Scotiabank Show Your Colors salutes the Hissick family, including 18-month-old Oscar, who does a pretty mean high five.
Oh, does he ever? He likes the fist pump, too. BC Lions fans who said they are hanging in there. Win, lose, or draw, they have been season ticket holders, and they really believe this BC Lion team will climb out of the hole they're in.
Peter's favorite, Mervyn Fernandez. And Lewis, there's Franks, but Lewis is able to fall forward across midfield.
Nick Lewis is strong. You talked about that yak yard stat for Nick Lewis, and it doesn't surprise his head coach at all because he knows how thick he is. And I'm not talking about broadcaster thick, you know, when you're eating donuts like dinner mints. I'm talking about athletic thick, where he can break those tackles. Strong lower body.
7 for Lewis. 2nd and 3. John Cornish, first down, and a lot more down the sidelines. Another big run by John Cornish out at the 5. Had a 52-yarder last week, which was a career high. And another big romp. This one, 52 yards.
He's going to get some help from receiver Nick Lewis on the plate so that he can bounce to the outside. I believe it's Dante Marsh, but John Cornish grew up not far from right here. And I asked him how many family members he had at the game. There's the block, and that just takes that corner, Dante Marsh, out of it, outside for Cornish. Asked him how many tickets he got. He said, I could only get 10. Everyone seemed to need their tickets. I said, well, who'd you give them to? He said, well, family gets them. All my friends that are coming, they got to pay. They have to pay to see me play.
So he gets 1 series out of 3. And he's averaged about 75 yards a game his last 2 starts. And now the end around. And it's R.J. Franklin, touchdown.
Well, this is a gutsy, imaginative call. And I say it both ways because you love to see the imagination and the change of direction in a call like this. It's gutsy because it all occurs so deep behind the line of scrimmage. And if there's penetration by the defense here, you could be in trouble and give up a loss on a reverse like that. But boy, does it fool the BC Lion defense.
R.J. Franklin, who had his first Stampeder touchdown catch 2 weeks ago as his first touchdown run in the Canadian Football League. And now he'll hold for the point after by Rob Maber. And it's a 14-point Stamp lead.
Love the change of direction here. Look at the fake by Joffrey Reynolds. There's R.J. Franklin. He'll come around on the reverse. Again, risky because it's a handoff deep in the backfield, but that'll change things up and keep the defense guessing. One BC Lion completely lost containment on the backside of the play.
We're trying to get this win. Afia, miss ya. Mom, Dad in Windsor, miss you too. Dad in Toronto. We're trying to get this win. Love you guys. Praise God.
Touchdowns in consecutive weeks now for R.J. Franklin. Midway in this 3rd quarter. There's Giannis Davis. And Davis with a return. Wade Anderson can't bring him down, and now they'll drop him at the 50. And Glenn Johnson is out of the game as Pat Clayton attends to the injured official who tried to get back in there but can't go. So Ben Major takes over.
Double tight end.
40. Lions started the 50-yard line. Davis hit in the backfield as Miguel Robide bolted through.
Miguel Robide gets a chance in the rotation. Boy, and he looked almost unblocked. He was in that backfield so quickly. He's right in front here of Malik Jackson and Brandon Browner.
Now
they're up on the line of scrimmage, and he walks right through that.
So it's 2nd and 12. Here comes more pressure. Printer steps up and looks downfield. Wants Passmore. He's out of bounds and can't make the catch.
It looked like Darius Passmore landed on the signage there, right across his neck or his throat. You can hear one of the players yelling. He hit his throat on the sign. That ball out of bounds.
And a piece of that sign seemed to come up and
right there. He went in the side of the edge of the signage. He grabbed his throat immediately.
Bill Rochelle, Pat Clayton, the two veteran athletic therapists of their respective teams, both in quickly to help Passmore. Usually those signs are obviously very collapsible, but
no, it was just the angle that he hit. He hit, right on that edge. Pretty good force, and the concern is, I'm sure at this point, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but they want to keep his airway open, and it was just the angle that he hit was just unlucky, and because if you hit those signs in almost any place, they'll just collapse down and become flat. Ball thrown out of bounds.
And he just happened to hit it at about the only place it didn't collapse.
Yeah. And the only place he doesn't have protection from the equipment he's wearing.
Like Bill Rochelle is trying to call for the ambulance to be brought right out. There's the stretcher. Do they want to get the stretcher, or it looks like they want the ambulance to come right down onto the field?
Such a bizarre. I mean, I don't think in my time in football I've seen anything. Whether it be the first down markers on the sideline or the signage along the sideline, it's built and designed to collapse the moment a player gets near it, and it looked like the signage was collapsing there. It was the angle that he hit.
So the paramedics will bring the stretcher down. Passmore in his second game with the Lions. As you mentioned, replacing the veteran Derek Armstrong, a guy that the Lions were very excited to get because of his tremendous speed.
Sounds like the instructions to the paramedics were that the sign hit him right in the trachea, right across the throat.
Now Wally Buono comes across the field. John Huffnagel there too, and two of the best athletic therapists in sport, along with the medical people.
Times like this, both teams are as concerned. I mean, it's not the competition kind of takes a break. Both teams are, concerned for the health of the player, and Darius Passmore right now. He was moving around and immediately, grabbed his throat when he went down. You're talking about that area, though. Again, I'm speculating, but make sure they don't move them. We're talking about the neck and head area as well. So take every precaution.
Up onto the stretcher. We'll try to get you a report as soon as we can. And you can see the slash across the neck. And there's a good look at that corner of the signage that he ran into.
And because of the angle, it just didn't collapse away. And he's good.
Well, there's the best sign we've had. Thumbs up from Darius Passmore, I'm sure, to his family and the fans here. So back on the field as Murphy takes that on the dead run, and J.R. LaRose goes flying into the field goal netting on the Calgary pinch.
Well, the first few plays, and a great sign to see Darius Passmore hold up the thumb. They're really taking their time to get him to the ambulance. He's safe now. They're going to take all the precautionary measures. We'll get a report as soon as we can, but these first 3 or 4 plays for the players is tough. You've just seen this. You've waited, both teams as concerned as the other, and now you've got to kind of strap it back on and get that edge back.
Stampeder football at the Calgary 38. And that pass delivered high out of the reach of Kenyon Rambo. So just a reset, just under 5 minutes to go here in the third quarter. Stampeders scoring on their last possession to take a 2-touchdown lead in the game.
And for both teams, again, it's about mental focus again and getting your head back around what you're doing and, you know, get it back on the game and back to that competitive level. I mean, that's the toughest part of it.
Here comes pressure, and Reddick can't bring down Burris, but he does come down finally at the 26. Brent Johnson has the sack. His third of the year, and number 79 in his CFL career.
Anthony Reddick was unsure of whether or not to cover or go ahead and blitz. He hesitated for so long, and then finally delays and comes, and he just buys some time. Watch the delay from 26. Now, Brent Johnson's coming from the back side. I'll show you him in a second, but 26, he's not sure. He sees there, and then he goes. Burris breaks that one, but he can't get away from Brent Johnson, the 10-year veteran.
Birkdale's the boot. Giannis Davis gets under it at the 35, and he'll get pulled down by Brandon Browner. Let's check in with Sarah Arleski on Darius Passmore.
Yes, Chris, a quick update from the BC Lions. They said that Darius cut his Adam's apple, cut across the throat on the Adam's apple. He does not have a collapsed airway or anything, but he is having some difficulty breathing. He is getting oxygen, though, and they are taking him to the hospital, obviously, as a precautionary measure, but they do expect him to be okay.
Well, that's good news. Good news that it's not a collapsed airway. We've seen
Calgary,
hockey players
first down,
getting shots in that area and being very dangerous. Penalty against the Stamps brings the ball to the BC 48.
Double tight end.
Simon in motion. Robertson. And trying to push the pile. Well, Robertson didn't want to go down. Finally dropped at the 53. Darius Passmore of the game for the Lions. The Calgary Stampeders have a couple of injuries on from their receiving core. There's Ryan Thelwell out of his equipment, and we saw Robbie Bryant taken down a little earlier, and he has not returned to the offenses yet either. Second and 4, off the edge. Malik Jackson bats it down, and he has been in the backfield all night long.
Well, they're doing this a little bit, Calgary, by disguise, because Malik Jackson does a nice job. Look how he's hiding in here, but coming over to this side and hitting it on the run. Hiding inside the defensive line of scrimmage, and in the middle of that D-line, Chris Jones drops a lineman. So bringing the linebacker, dropping a lineman, and confusing the blocking scheme.
4 possessions, 4 punts for the Lions here in the second half. And Murphy dances out just beyond the Calgary 15-yard line.
It's Friday night, Chris, and right now there's roughly 2,800 Canadian Forces personnel that are currently deployed in the Afghanistan mission. And I have everyone in our country meet and salute Corporal Matt Jenkins, 5 Platoon, Bravo Company, 1st Battalion, Royal Canadian Regiment, CFB, Petawawa, Ontario. And he's here manning the radio while at a compound being reached in Peshawar district of Kandahar.
Every Friday night, we salute our troops. Rambo tossed out by Dante Marsh.
And it's important. I mean, these are our true Team Canada, our true Canadian heroes that are putting it on the line. We want to say a special hello to a unit or a soldier who's out there protecting our way of life and protecting and improving the way of life for so many people that they haven't even met yet and may never meet. So a special thank you to our Canadian forces.
Second and 5 for the Stamps. Burris stands in, knocked down. Good defensive play by Corey Banks on a pass intended for Nick Lewis.
100th game for Corey Banks. He'll be an adjuster in his CFL career, and he steps outside to move into coverage, often matched up against Nick Lewis, who plays that inside position, and he's not out-muscled. And that's what Nick Lewis can do to you because he's so strong. He can swat you away, out-muscle you to the ball, but not that time for Corey Banks.
Burke Dales with the boot. Davis can't elude Jawan Simpson. Our sounds of the game tonight are brought to you by the all-new Ford Super Duty. And mic'd up is G-Boy Simon.
1, 2, 3.
Catch the ball, man. Catch the ball.
Come on, man. You know you got me. You know you got me. You know you got me.
Leroy trying to make a little more noise. A long pass for Jerome Messam, who had a step there on Brandon Isaac. And Casey Printers couldn't make the connection.
Well, he put a lot of air under the football, but missed him by about 1.5 yards, just out through him. And this is a combination, Casey Printers to Jerome Messam. I'm sure that they haven't taken a lot of reps in it. Maybe Casey Printers just overestimating the speed or underestimating the speed of Jerome Messam.
Go 2nd and 10. That pass incomplete. Milt Collins drilling and exposed O'Neal Wilson.
Receivers are taking a beating in this football game. Sounds like Darius Passmore will be okay. We talked about Romney Bryant and Thelwell, and that was a big hit. O'Neal Wilson jumped back up, hit him right in the midsection.
So the teams exchange 2 and outs. And Casey Printers now 1 for 8 here in the second half. Good kick. Murphy back at his 16. And tripped up. That's Josh Jesse, the rookie linebacker out of the University of Montreal, with the tackle. Well, the Kraft Celebration Tour continues tomorrow night from Brighton, Ontario. SportsCenter continues its tour of the 10 winning Canadian cities in 10 days. Catch it live beginning at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. Saw Jen Hedger kissing the cod during the petition, was bungee jumping. A questionable effort by Jay Onright fishing.
Yeah, no fishing show in the near future for Jay Onright.
And O'Toole cleaning fish in Port Dover.
Didn't Onright like the whole reel and rod? And in first cast, he just did the whole thing.
Tough to bring the fish in if you're throwing the rod out. Henry Burris trying to get the offense kick-started. There's Rambo with another catch with time ticking away here in this third quarter. 8 catches for Rambo on the night. 47 points first half, just 7 here in the third quarter.
Calgary going with a quick game to try and get some confidence, some swagger back in their offense. Some late turnovers into that first half has clearly taken some confidence away from them. Big Cornish run, but other than that,
we've had 2 consecutive 2 and outs, and the Lions defense and the fans here at Empire want a 3rd consecutive 2 and out. Flag down, and that pass incomplete. Dante Marsh, closest man to it.
And if not for a high throw, not sure what the flag is, but Dante Marsh.
Time count violation. Calgary, number 1. 5-yard penalty.
Remain second down.
I mean, they may have blown it dead before Henry Burris threw the football.
By the way, that's Al Bradbury who's taking the mic. Glenn Johnson out of the game.
That's right, not just receivers, head officials as well.
Go down over this time 2nd and 10. Back at the 18. And they look for R.J. Franklin, and they got him. R.J. Franklin, who has a touchdown run tonight and a couple of big first down catches. As we head to the 4th quarter, Calgary holds on to the football. 3rd quarter stats brought to you by Tim Hortons, proud sponsor of the CFL.
Well, you can see that Calgary defense has stepped it up, especially in this 3rd quarter. Not a lot of offensive yards. The turnovers have stopped. That was just first half turnovers, the 5 total, but that BC Lion offense just can't get any traction.
We know Casey Printers has been under duress, 1 for 8 in the 3rd quarter. There's been a lot of quarterback changes this year in BC. Do they have to make another one here?
Well, they could. And, you know, when you're talking about that hockey analogy, they could do it to try and see if it shakes things up. Maybe go to Travis Lulay. But, you know, Travis Lulay had 3 starts and really couldn't finish games. And again, you know, you wonder how much of this is about the pressure on the quarterback and how much it is about the quarterback himself. And again, I would suggest that right now the BC Lions are having some problems with that Calgary defensive front 7. Malik Jackson's been on a fast break after number 1 all game long.
22-yard pickup by Franklin gives Calgary first down. John Cornish back in after the big run to set up the lone second half touchdown. This time wrapped up, tossed down. Karan Williams there.
Karan Williams is a guy we haven't really talked a lot about. He comes into this game with just 1 sack, and what's interesting about that is Karan Williams was moved to defensive end by Wally Buono. Now, he was always an interior defensive lineman in Montreal, the free agent signing. He moves. The 1 sack he had was when they had to replace Aaron Hunt with Karan Williams and move him inside again where he's more comfortable. Now, outside, we haven't talked about him much tonight.
Former Stampeder. 2nd and 9. Burris has time to go through his reads and then dump it off, and Cornish might run away. John Cornish dropped at the line, 46. First down, Stampeders.
Well, this is what can happen for the Calgary Stampeders, or any team for that matter. There's Cornish right there. He's going to be in for protection at first. But when your quarterback has time to throw, now there's just 3-man pressure. Brent Johnson can't get home. They're going to add a 4th in Solomon Elamimian, but you could see how many steamboats that Henry Burris had there.
Looked like he went through 4 reads. 22 on the pickup. Play action. They screen it. Rob Cote, first down. And he's cut down at the 33-yard line. Dante Marsh, the tackle.
John Cornish is putting together a good game in limited action. We mentioned Karan Williams. I want to go back to that last play. Right there is John Cornish. Watch what he does before he ends up catching the pass from Henry Burris. Karan Williams comes off the edge. He cuts him down. That's tremendous pass protection. Williams is way late getting there. Cornish opens up because of it. And a big play now has Calgary in scoring position.
Seven different receivers have caught passes from Henry Burris tonight. Here comes pressure from Karan Williams. Burris, a pump, and now he'll throw it away. Nothing available that time.
You know, he had Kenyon Rambo down the field, and it looked like it was Dion Murphy as well, but both were pretty well covered. I mean, Kenyon Rambo got to the outside there, and Stanley Franks was with them. Now this is going to start here and go all the way across. Burris just works his way over there. But take a look at Kenyon Rambo. Okay, he's coming across the field. He's got Ryan Phillips on top of him, and in pretty good position. And there's Stanley Franks, number 6. So you're really forcing it if you're trying to get it in there. Remember, 3 first half interceptions.
2nd and 10. Cornish releases. He's got it. John Cornish down to the 20. The BC boy has another first down for Calgary.
And just not covered. I mean, just flat out not picked up. The BC Lions drop off. And Cornish, who on his first big play lines up over on this position. Now he's right behind the quarterback in Henry Burris and just straight swing pass in an excellent way. It's really the extension of your running game when offensively you do this. It's just like a long handoff. You throw it out to the outside and put him in space.
11 more, and now Henry Burris within 16 of going into the top 10 all-time passing. Kenyon Rambo. There's a flag on the play as Franks makes the tackle. Dieter Brock is 10th on the all-time passing list, and Henry Burris has him in his sights.
He's really starting to reel in his game as well here, because making better decisions than he did late in that first half.
Offside. Calgary, number 82. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
There's Al Bradbury in for Glenn Johnson as they go to the 6-man officiating unit. So it's first down over, 1st and 15. Draw, Cornish. Another good gain for Cornish, tripped up.
You just see the difference in the play calling. Looks like Cornish is a little slow to get up there, but you know, they're moving John Cornish around. We mentioned that he gets 1 series and then Joffrey Reynolds 2, and then he comes back in for 1. But you just have to admire the play calling where you mix it up with little swing passes, get your back involved out in the flat, good protection on some plays, and then Dave Dickinson, just magic in calling plays in real important parts of the football game.
Dante Marsh the tackle, limiting the gain to 7, 2nd and 8 with Reynolds checking in, and Reynolds takes the pass. Joffrey Reynolds down to the 5-yard line. Another Calgary first down, and not enough to get Henry Burris into the top 10. 14, he needs 2 more.
Solomon Elimimian looked like was in charge of covering him, and he just looks like he's getting run down and a little tired because Joffrey Reynolds pushes the flat. Now just Henry Burris knifing through this defense, little bits at a time.
That 3 straight to the running back.
Absolutely.
1st and goal. And it is Reynolds. And the ball came loose.
Nick Lewis says it's down.
Yeah, the official says it too. Anton McKenzie's got the football.
Well, let's take another look and see when this ball actually does come out of the hands of Joffrey Reynolds. He breaks there to the right. Contact made. And down by contact. Good call by the official. That down by contact. But
Wally Buono out on the field with the challenge flag prone, and he does toss it.
Well, this game slipping away from Wally Buono, and he wants to take a chance here, but I don't think he's going to get this one. It looked like he was clearly down by contact, and you know, again, when you're hit and the running back, this is a handoff, the running back is hit here, so there's the contact made. Now that ball has got to come out before any part of his body touches the ground.
The ball is fumbled and then recovered.
Essentially still has possession there. His elbows, shoulders, backside, all on the ground there. Still has possession. I don't think this one's overturned.
Maybe one of those desperation challenges. You're down at the 1 or 2, so take a shot.
Yeah.
But
and you know, one more touchdown here by the Stampeders, and looking at 3 majors to catch up. So a bit of desperation. But, you know, again, the credit where credit is due here. Dave Dickinson, play calling, John Huffnagel. It's essentially the offensive coordinator. And, you know, many people felt that Dickinson would be a great coach. when he was a player. I love that series. You know, that was a series where he utilized John Cornish perfectly. He got his quarterback back on rhythm with quick and short throws, little dumps. Let's see, but I don't think there's a chance for this one to be overturned.
After review, the ruling on the field is correct. This will be resulting in BC's second timeout having to be used.
So it's going to be 2nd and goal, just outside the 1-yard line. And this long season gets a little longer for Wally Bono. Still trying to find the key to beating his old assistant coach, John Hufnagel. 8 regular season losses, great losses, including a playoff game. And this would be the 9th. Barring a comeback, Drew Tate into the end zone with the flag down. Tate threw a touchdown pass here 3 weeks ago, and
offside, BC number 47. A penalty is declined. Play results in a touchdown.
James Juracek didn't give the full yard. It's a Drew Tate touchdown and a 3-touchdown Calgary.
Well, lots of choices for a quarterback and a quarterback sneak again behind this offensive line, and this time Drew Tate decides to take it outside. And he's not really touched till he's 2-3 yards into the BC Lions end zone.
Well, a dagger of a drive, 13 plays, 92 yards. And any thought of a Lion comeback probably extinguished there. Hager puts it through. There is 8:21 on the clock. Looked like that Calgary offensive line did a Sierra's job on the touchdown by Drew Tate,
who warms up on the sideline. We may see Drew Tate on that opposite sideline. Travis Luley also had his helmet on.
Giannis Davis on the return up across the 30. It will be Travis Luley when we come back.
Now that was interesting as both Luley and Casey Printers went way out onto the field, and then one went back and one went out, and it ended up being Printers after Luley warmed up.
Well, they faked me out. Luley been warming up on the sidelines. Looked like he was coming in. Casey Printers stays in the controls. Look out. Almost picked off there.
I mean, I'm not sure if they did this on purpose or it was just Travis Luley staying loose and then just wanting to hear the call. But look at this. They walk out. Who's going to be? Luley had just warmed up. And then, no, I'm going back. And Printers goes out. Now, I got to believe that wasn't a planned, I'm going to try and trick them as to who's playing at this point in the game. I'm 99% sure that wasn't the case.
Casey Printers has 1 completion in the second half. 1 for 9 and more trouble. And down goes Printers. Back at the 25, it's another 2 and out as Devon Claybrooks, who brought Ricky Ray to the turf a couple of weeks ago, has a sack.
Well, he lines up over Dean Valley, the center who's back in at center. Didn't play their last game, but he's back in at center, and they're trying to stop him there. You can see that Valley got his hands down, knocked down by Devon Claybrooks, and then beaten by Devon Claybrooks.
High kick by McCallum at the 43, Murphy. And he's pushed out. More great field position for the Stamps, who are in charge. Our game stories brought to you by Mr. Lube.
Henry Burris off to a good start. He was using his legs, buying himself some time, had a rushing touchdown, broke out of a blitz to throw one of his touchdowns to Kenyon Rambo. It was an amazing first half with so much action, especially in the final 3 minutes. John Cornish with a couple of big plays and was important in the most important drive of this game.
Drew Tate into the game. Joffrey Reynolds straight ahead, and Reynolds with a cut down inside the 40.
Reynolds, he's climbing a list to catch Calvin Anderson. Won't get it tonight, but has a chance to get it next week. And you can see the now BC Lions have just sort of said, okay, this one has happened again. So sloppy tackling and a little less fight in the dog.
19 more for Joffrey Reynolds. First down at the BC 38. Pitch to Reynolds. And Reynolds down to the 30, close to another first down inside the 30. Henry Burris 2 yards short of Dieter Brock on the all-time list. We're going to have to wait another week. Labor Day.
Why not? Why not on Labor Day? Yeah, why not on Labor Day? Yeah, gets him in the top 10. He needs a couple yards. It'll be likely the first throw he makes Labor Day Classic. And Drew Tate gets some valuable reps. A guy that a lot of people have talked so highly about as one of the guys that could really take a team right now.
It's the second time you've seen Drew Tate today.
I have. I watched him on television as I was doing some notes when he was leading Iowa to a big come-from-behind win over LSU.
Dr. Reynolds again, adding to his totals.
It was quite interesting. Just turned on the TV. I'm looking at the game notes and getting ready and prepared. And there's Drew Tate. And I hear this LSU-Iowa game, and it was the Capital One Bowl, I believe, with these classics, Big Ten, best games ever. And Jamarcus Russell throws to Skylar Green for a touchdown for LSU, puts them up by 1. Skylar Green, of course, a member of the Edmonton Eskimos. And then Drew Tate brings them back and throws a 56-yard touchdown to win it with no time on the clock.
First down, another handoff to Reynolds, pounding it down to the 20-yard line. He closing in on a 100-yard game, 11 carries, 90 yards. Joffrey Reynolds has not had a 100-yard game in his last 6.
What a great 1-2 punch, Chris, they have, really. I mean, when you talk about the ability to put John Cornish out there and give Joffrey Reynolds, who is still playing at such a high level, on the brink of 100 here tonight.
Cornish was 72. Fake to Reynolds. Drew Tate to the end zone. And it's a touchdown. Kenyon Rambo.
Drew Tate walked right over to him and said, that was you. That was you with a real nice catch. And just like that, this Calgary Stampeder football team is right on the brink of another 50-point game. I mean, real nice play by Drew Tate to little play action, bounce to the outside, throw, which is, he makes it look easy, but that's a difficult throw rolling that direction. Well, you consider against the Edmonton Eskimos a couple weeks back, 56-15, the final in that one.
And he looked as excited there as if he just won the Capital One Bowl game in the final minute.
Yeah, and that, well, you get a chance to play. You want to go out and have some success. And
how about this Stampeder offense roaring to 104 points in the last 2 weeks?
Well, you know, that game versus Edmonton when they put 56 on the board, they haven't scored 50 points this Calgary Stampeder offense since 2006. It was their 6th highest output in team history. And they're on the brink again. So when you consider we're looking at right now, you know, over 100 points in 2 games. And Henry Burr says yesterday, and it really surprised me, only because he's a Grey Cup champion. I mean, they won the Grey Cup in 2008. John Huffnagel's first year. And Henry Burris, you know, he says yesterday, almost matter of fact, he says, I'm more comfortable in this offense than I've been in any. And this is a guy who won 2 years ago. So how much of that is Dave Dickinson's addition? You know, how much is it the combination of the 2 of them or the 3 of them?
Again, they win the first year of John Huffnagel as the head coach, but this is year 3. And this Stampeder team really making a statement in the opening 8 games of the season. BC Printers continues to come out for the Lions.
Wally Buono yesterday, really made a point of saying to the media that he felt the reason that the Lions were in this predicament was that their quarterbacks just weren't playing at the level they needed to. And that was all 3 of them, because all 3 of them had an opportunity in the first 7 games.
Printers looks for Simon. Not much.
And in fact, he and I had a conversation. I had talked about the protection issues in BC, and Wally Buono showed a couple of film clips where, yes, there was issues with quarterback decisions at times. The bottom line being, I really believe up front is their issue in BC, more so than the quarterbacks.
Third catch for Simon, and there's a catch for Emmanuel Arsenault. Well, again, this offensive line's been revamped again tonight. Justin Sorensen first start at right tackle. John Hameister-Reese first start at left guard. It's been a long night, and it's a 3-minute warning for the benches here in the 4th quarter at Empire. Back at Empire, let's check back in with Sarah Orleski.
Chris, although it hasn't affected them on the scoreboard, the Stamps offense have suffered a number of injuries tonight. Ryan Thelwell has not played at all in this second half. They're being very quiet about what the injuries are, other than to say that with Thelwell, it's a lower body. He obviously would not play or return. Romby Bryant also will not return tonight. And John Cornish is on the bench right now with ice pack on his right hamstring. He is also done for the evening.
And Emmanuel Arsenault is headed to the end zone. Touchdown. KC Printers slow to get up after throwing a touchdown strike to Emmanuel Arsenault.
Well, something positive, I guess, for the BC Lions fans to get the big play. Printers, for one of the rare times this game, actually rolls out to throw. And when he does, he's going to get hit and brought down wide open. Emmanuel Arsenault. I'm not sure about the point.
Yeah, that's
going into the end zone when you're down by as much as the Lions are down in the celebration.
If that was a winning touchdown, he could get right up there and row 10. Extra point. Makes it 48-27, and now KC Printers gets attention. Let's take a look at the hit he took after delivering the touchdown strike.
Right down Main Street again. Tom Johnson was back there. Miguel Robide. He went down on that right knee one more time.
KC Printers has thrown for 191 yards on the night. Amazingly, 141 to one receiver, Emmanuel Arsenault.
You know, Emmanuel Arsenault is a good football player that will be good for some time. And, you know, when we showed that clip early in the game about Geroy Simon, and Geroy Simon saying that, you know, some of our young guys have not learned really what the tradition is all about. And you know, he's had a good game tonight. There's no question. Maybe the biggest for Emmanuel Arsenault tonight. And I understand you get in the end zone and you're excited and it's something positive. But, you know, excessive celebration when you're down like the Lions have been down for this second half. You know, I think that's a little bit of what Geroy Simon was talking about.
Well, 2 weeks ago, Giannis Davis celebrated in Saskatchewan. And when he went home, he got heck from mom and his college coach about the way he celebrated. And his might have been a little different because he defended himself by saying, I was trying to pump up our guys that were still in the game. Clearly, Arsenault can't say that. Well, you don't think he can. 2:44 to go. They're down by 3 touchdowns, but
Giannis Davis now says hi to mom because he doesn't want to get ripped again. Although she might give him a call on the early fumble, but he recovered from that, made some plays on the special teams and offensively. And
Stamps called the timeout to make sure they got the hands team organized for an expected short kick by Paul McCallum. And it's up for grabs. And still loose. And Nick Lewis pounces on it. It was an interesting stance by McCallum. He was actually standing ahead of the football at the 36-yard line when the ball kicked off from the 35.
Well, place kickers, you know, throughout the work week often have a lot of time on their hands, and you can work on things like this. He did. He started in front of it, wrapped around it. It was a perfect kick, really. I mean, that's exactly where you want it, because that contact knocks the ball out of there. Lions just didn't have a second wave to get to it. Still down by 21.
Drew Tate back in, and Joffrey Reynolds stays in at running back. You surprised at all at this? John Cornish wouldn't finish up in a game well in hand.
Well, we did. The Cornish got up a little slow on.
That's true.
Yeah,
right.
on one play, and
good call.
And I'm wondering if, like, he went and played again after that, but anytime now anyone has a little one.
And Sarah did report John Cornish out for the night.
But you can also play tight end sets, and you can also play your fullback and Rob Cote in there. And
boy, did they do some damage on the ground tonight.
Yeah,
again.
And a lot of second half. You know, a lot of second half damage where, you know, this game was a 7-point game at the turn, and John Cornish probably is the guy who broke it open with a big run. Joffrey Reynolds has contributed. I mean, over 200 yards between the two of them. It's funny, you almost you've got a real workhorse in Reynolds, and then in Cornish there, who wants to shave. You got like a guy who breaks away. I mean, he gets a little space and shows you that maybe a little younger legs, but that great burst where he makes the big plays and can break like a 60-70 yarder. Joffrey Reynolds is going to chip away. He's going to bang away at it. His longest, Reynolds, on the season, 28-27 yards. But boy, John Hufnagel talked about him yesterday and just how solid of a football player Joffrey Reynolds is. When we asked him about getting close to Calvin Anderson, and he just talked about Reynolds being, you know, he goes, I go back and watch a lot of the different video and see him blocking so well and see him in crucial situations just absolutely imposing his will and refusing to go down on plays that we need a crucial first down. He said the guy is such a solid football player from top to bottom.
The heart and soul of the offense, as you see Dominique Pittman taken to the sidelines. And it's Rob Cote to run the football.
And that's how you can get both of your star running backs to the bench and let them get a rest. You put your fullback in as a single back, play tight end or an extra receiver. But this Calgary football team, you know, right now Anthony Calvillo's doesn't look like he'll play next week. And you're thinking about who are the top two teams in the Canadian Football League right now. Of course, those two teams.
Calgary, number 53. That penalty's declined. Third down.
Those two teams are the ones that you think of obviously first. And no disrespect to Saskatchewan, who plays tomorrow in Edmonton and is right in the fight. But bottom line being is that this is a solid team top to bottom. I mean, they got sloppy in the end of the first half. It got close, 7 points, and just came out and dominated. I mean, dominated the second half of this game.
There's Andrew Harris back, along with Giannis Davis. I don't know if the Lions could take any consolation in this. Probably not. This matches the most points scored against Calgary in a game this year. That's how good the Stampeders have been. Perfect kick into the corner by Dales, and Giannis Davis is stopped at the 4. Time for tonight's TSN Turning Point.
It was still a close game, and it was still a game that could have gone either way. Big run by John Cornish, third quarter, but R.J. Franklin finished off with a nice touchdown and tremendous play call down on the goal line by Dave Dickinson.
Up the lead to 3 touchdowns. The TSN Turning Point brought to you by Wendy's Baconator, the official hamburger of the CFL. There's Travis Lulay. He does get into this game in relief of Casey Printers. And some early movement. Lulay making his 5th appearance of the season. He got 3 consecutive starts.
Showed it in those starts. You know, he showed his potential at times, and then he showed his inexperience at times. And you know, that's why Wally Buono has felt that Casey Printers is his best chance, but has not given up on him.
59 BC. That penalties decline. As a result, the clock will start when the play is ready.
Wally Buono has said that Travis Lulay is a guy that he still believes has tremendous potential, that he's going to need some more time. That touchdown he threw was early in the season in relief. I believe week 2 against Saskatchewan. He did not throw as a starter a touchdown pass.
Dane Randolph was called. There's a ball batted in the air and falls incomplete to Von Claybrooks. Got a paw on it. Thought he might be able to grab it too.
Well, Claybrooks has been right over that Dean Valley, John Hameister Reese area, and this is right in here, and this is the areas of concern right now as the Lions still struggle. They keep changing their offensive line.
Dean Randolph, the left tackle, 2 starts at left tackle, 1st start at left guard for Hameister Reese, 5 starts for the center Dean Valley, 8 CFL starts for Olafieo at right guard, and the 1st start for Justin Sorensen. So it is a new group. A straight arm from Lulay, and he's brought down by Robert McCune.
Yeah, and I believe it was the 4th or 5th. The top of my head, either way, it's a lot. Different grouping in the offensive line for BC in 7 games coming in. So, you know, when you consider the change, first of all, even when you have a group that you're sure are solid, and I'm not sure that Wally Buono is completely finished evaluating this group. He really wanted to see what Justin Sorensen would do tonight. He'll have to look at the video to find that out, all that information out. But when you're even just making changes by position, it's so difficult. Chris Schultz will tell you, you got to play beside a different guy every game. It is very difficult.
And Callum kicks it away. There's Dion Murphy, and he'll step out at the Lion 48-yard line.
Wally Buono yesterday, when asked about the coordination of the offense and the play calling of the offense, he really felt that he was comfortable there. But Jacques Chapdelaine has been criticized over the last few weeks and about trying to get a little more imagination in it. You know, the bottom line is 3 different quarterbacks on this football team in Travis Lulay, have we just talked about. Jarius Jackson with 6 years of experience, basically the same offense. And Casey Printers, who, you know, last year comes in and was the high expectations that were surrounding Casey Printers. I mean, it's amazing coincidence that all 3 haven't played real well in these games, because, again, I go, if 1 or 2 of them are making decision errors, then you could say, okay, well, one guy's not on. But all 3 have had their opportunities, and all 3 have faced the same results, and then you got to start looking elsewhere.
John Huffnagel's gone to his 3rd quarterback of the night, the former Penn Stater, just like the head coach. Daryl Clark is in. Joined this team about a month into the season. Taking the spot, Cody Pickett is the number 3 man, and Rob Cote gets another carry. Former junior player of Vancouver Island. And Cote will finish up, as will Daryl Clark, who at 6'2", 232 is a physical presence.
You don't have to say that about quarterbacks, but it was Cody Pickett coming out of camp and then lost his job to Clark.
3rd and short. And the sneak ahead by Clark. Ball comes loose. They have a whistle play down. Corey Banks. Ryan Wilson, a little rugby here. Davis Sanchez has it. And he'll be brought down at the Calgary 52. Flag on the play.
Let's take a look, first of all, if it was a fumble. Well, yeah, definitely. Definitely fumbled.
It's their ball's kind of sitting loose.
Well, if no one wants it, I'll take it.
During the play, BC did recover the ball, but while running it back, committed an offside pass. As a result of the ruling, the ball will be placed at the forward point of that pass. First down, BC.
So the ball marked at the Lion 52.
Sarah mentioned it early. The last time that the Calgary Stampeders were 7-1, Wally Buono was their coach. That was back in 1996.
Same year the Lions started 1-6. What's unbelievable is that Wally Buono still has not found a way to beat John Hufnagel. 9 straight games. Lule takes off, and he'll be dropped at the Stampeder 51.
John Hufnagel had an edge in warm-up today. He was watching his team warm up, was up in their chili a couple times, and I think he was just trying to fight that possibility of complacency.
There's Arsenault, his 6th catch of the night. He gets a jolt to first down at the Calgary 40. Well, you're playing a 1-6 team, and you're coming off a bye where you've got lots of time to feel pretty good about yourself, but the coach wanted to make sure that wasn't the case.
And you know, he just had put 56 on the board at home against the Edmonton Eskimos just before the bye. And boy, if you're ever going to get complacent and start reading your headlines, it would be then.
Lule throws incomplete, and we've got time for one more play.
But Hufnagel kept that edge. Very close, apparently, to signing Corey Mace. We got in a trade and continues to bring in competition to push the already very good football team that he has right now, and that is the key to success.
Next up, the Labor Day Classic at McMahon against Edmonton, back-to-back with the Eskimos. Doesn't get any easier for the Lions. They'll head to Montreal for a game on September the 3rd. Flag down. Lule dancing around Tom Johnson. Can't bring him down. Now he's got it deep. Looking for Simon. He's got it. Touchdown, G-Roy Simon. Again, the flag's down.
Offside. Calgary, number 77. Penalties declined. Play results in a touchdown.
So G-Roy Simon with his 3rd touchdown catch of the year, but not much to celebrate.
Well, and there's the difference between a veteran who understands what's happened to this football team out of the gate here to drop to 1-7. And he understands. I mean, hey, everyone likes to get in the end zone, and G-Roy Simon will show you that he has the ball at the end of this. But remember Emmanuel Arsenault's celebration when they were down still 21?
G-Roy celebrated more like Clark Kent than Superman.
Yeah, that's kind of like, okay, I'm in the end zone, but does it matter?
And they go for 2 on the final play. And G-Roy will take that in. They put 35 on the board against Calgary, the most any team this year, but John Hufnagel's team is in cruise control, winning their 5th in a row and a CFL best 7-1 record. And Wally Buono's team still without any answers as they have lost 7 consecutive games. 48-35. The Calgary Stampeders continue to the roll. That's the story from Vancouver. So long, everybody. SportsCenter is next.